All right, Blake, why don't you start by telling me about yourself?
So my name's Blake. I'm currently a sophomore at the University of Michigan. I'm currently seeking to transfer into the kinesiology program. In the past, I was in LSA thinking of going into engineering. That I've realized has not worked out, and kinesiology is something that I really look forward to getting into and liking. In the future, I hope to become something along the lines of physical therapist or chiropractor. I think those would best suit my interests in the way that I can still stay with sports and make a significant contribution that way.
Cool. What do you think is the hardest decision you've ever made?
The hardest decision I've ever made is probably making the transfer from LSA to kinesiology or engineering to kinesiology because I was really skeptical about it. I knew what my parents wanted me to do. I knew what was probably best for me, but not interest-wise, because money-wise, engineering is very sustainable. But I was talking with my advisor, and he recommended that I look into kinesiology, and through his guidance, I was able to make my own decision of doing what's best for my interests and my future. And I think going into kinesiology is going to be the best way to have a happy, healthy future.
Cool. Can you tell me about one of your biggest failures? How did you handle it, and what did you learn from it?
One of my biggest failures, I'd have to say, comes from my sophomore year of football. I was on the JV team, and we were playing our division rivals, conference rivals, and we were down in the fourth quarter with a couple minutes to go, and we were on the 1 yard line. I basically could have walked into the end zone, and I fumbled, gave the other team the ball, and I was really upset about it at the moment, but for the rest of the year I used it as fuel, and we won all the rest of our games. That was only the second game of 9, and we ended up winning the rest. I didn't have another fumble all year, and even through varsity I only fumbled maybe once or twice. So I took it as I don't want that to happen again, and I really focused on taking care of the football and always protecting myself. It was in the back of my head forever, and I don't think I'll ever forget it.
Cool. Which do you think is more important, creativity or efficiency, and why?
Personally, I believe efficiency is better because I believe I'm more of an efficient person rather than a creative person. Because I feel like everybody can have a certain level of creativity, but everybody can control their efficiency. So you can always manage your time better. You can always work on something harder. You can become more efficient in that way. Even if you struggle with creativity, efficiency could always make up for it.
Cool. How well do you adapt to new situations, and can you give me an example of you adapting to a new situation?
I feel like I adapt pretty well to new situations. A big example for me is moving from a very small town to the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. I wasn't very worried about it. I just was like, it's what's going to happen. So I didn't worry, but I just had to find my way to fit in. I had to meet people, and I had to get it somewhat like my small town feel, where I have a few close friends, and it was a difficult transition, but at the same time, I think I made the most of it because it wasn't something I was worried about. I was kind of more focused on academics, and so the social scene of going from small town to big town, small city, it didn't faze me too much.
Cool. Where do you want to be in 5 years?
In 5 years, I'd like to see myself with a sports program, preferably like football program, and being a physical therapist or a chiropractor. I'm still undecided on that. But I'd like to see myself there, and I'd see myself there in 5 years because that's what I really want to do. My goal throughout my whole life in high school was to do collegiate and professional sports, and reality hit, and I realized academics were the way to go. But there's ways through academics to still make an impact in sports, and so sticking around sports, being a physical therapist or a chiropractor, it will help the athletes be able to stay on the field and ready to play their games. And I think that's going to bring a big sense of fulfillment.
Cool. So why do you want this internship?
I want this internship because it will help me grow towards my career in 5 years, where I want to be a physical therapist or a chiropractor. It'll help me get around athletes and understand my role within the program. It'll just get me better suited for what I actually do want to do, which is be a physical therapist or chiropractor for a sports program.
Awesome.